grateful for the opportunity that the President gave me the position of director of this corridor.
Welcome once again to another chapter of real estate. Today we are with Admiral Raymundo Pedro Morales, who is the director of the Interoceanic corridor of the Isthmus of Tehuantepec. We welcome Admiral.
Good afternoon, thank you, Gisselle. It's good that today I have the opportunity to share with you the progress we have in the Interoceanic corridor of the Isthmus of Tehuantepec, which, by the way, is an opportunity for Mexico, but in particular for the region of the Isthmus, which has been a region abandoned for many years, and today we have a chance that this region flourishes. More or less since the 1950s, in the 19th century, the isthmus began to be explored to make an interoceanic crossing. King Charles V asks Hernán Cortés to look for a crossing in the colonial era. Later, in 1850, there was interest from many countries, England, France, and the United States, in searching for a crossing that would unite the two oceans. It was not achieved until 1907, when President Porfirio Díaz inaugurated this railway line, which he commissioned from a company named Pearson. He inaugurated it, but it had little time to be successful because the Panama Canal was born years later. And the Panama Canal, beating us to trade. Asia did not have such great development, and in the United States, the East Coast did not have great development too. The Isthmus of Tehuantepec was abandoned. The tracks continue to function, but in recent years, they were completely abandoned, and it was up to us to work on their rehabilitation. And today, we have a line that crosses the Interoceanic corridor from Salina Cruz to Coatzacoalcos.
What would be the main objectives of this corridor?
The main objective of the corridor is to implement a multimodal logistics platform that uses the capacities of the two ports, Coatzacoalcos and Salina Cruz, complemented by Puerto Chiapas, in Chiapas, and the Dos Bocas port, in Tabasco. And this will be interconnected by about 1,200 kilometers of railways. That is, we are interconnecting the oceans. It is not a train. The train is a means that unites the oceans. It is maritime power. We are talking about what we are trying to promote is maritime trade, the exchange of goods between Asia, the United States, and Europe.
What is the progress is currently made on the project?
We need a second stage on Line Z, which has to do with more stations, with a railway complex in Matias Romero that will allow the control of the corridor to be transferred to Matias Romero. And we need to finish from Coatzacoalcos to Palenque. We have 50% there and we hope to conclude it in the month of July. And in the other line, which goes from Ixtepec to Hidalgo City with a branch to Puerto Chiapas, we have scheduled to inaugurate in a first stage in September of this year, on September 14th, which is the day that Chiapas was annexed to Mexico.
How long does it take to build what is in the corridor today?
The works began in 2021. We had some social problems to solve. We had to give more information to the population, so they accepted the projects. And we have already been working intensively for a year and a half. All government agencies have supported us. Pemex, the Federal Electricity Commission, SEDATU, the Treasury, Communications and Transportation, the entire federal government, the state governments with great enthusiasm on the part of the governors of Oaxaca and Veracruz, also the governors of Tabasco and Chiapas. In addition to them, we have the support of the municipalities, the municipal presidents, who are very interested in bringing jobs to their communities, improving the quality of life. Because, by the way, not only is it a real estate work, but we have also given residents urban improvement works, community support. We have provided more than 10,000 housing supports. We have invested a lot of resources in which the investment in infrastructure also spills over into improving the quality of life of the population. We have managed to install schools where there were none.
It is a work where all those involved, all the interests and powers of the country are aligned.
Of course, both at the government level, we agree they are very enthusiastic. But the private initiative, we have a lot of acceptance from the private initiative at an international level. There is a lot of interest. We have had visitors from all over the world. We are about to receive a visit from Portugal, from Port, which wants to twin with the port of Coatzacoalcos. There is interest in coming from the Arab Emirates. People from all over the world want to come and see the corridor, and we have for now an important base of development poles. We already have 4 development poles assigned.
Which ones?
They are 2 poles of Coatzacoalcos 1 and 2, Texistepec and Salina Cruz. We are bidding 3 more, and one of them an extra that will be awarded to a Danish company that brings a very important program of clean energy. They are going to generate green hydrogen from hydrolysis with solar energy and wind energy, that from the hydrogen obtained by the nitrogen in the atmosphere will produce ammonia, which is the fuel of the boats of the future. That company brings an investment of around $10 billion. The advantage of the Interoceanic corridor is its geostrategic position. It is located in the narrowest region of our country, and it is not a project that only has a commercial vision. It is a project that has a social vision and seeks above all to improve the quality of life of the inhabitants of the region, and that's why makes it different.
How many people and how many communities has it impacted?
There are 79 municipalities only in the Interoceanic crossing, but in total there are more than 120 municipalities between Tabasco, Veracruz, Oaxaca, and Chiapas.
The entire southeast.
The entire southeast. But in addition to that, there are more than 3 million inhabitants. The size of our region is larger than Holland. One of the main observations that companies that want to invest in the area make to us is human capital. That is why we are asking companies to link up with the education.
The vocation of the company.
What we are asking is that the investment company has to complete a company program as a requirement within the basis of the tender for the poles, so that it has a linkage program with the academy. So there is no doubt that we are going to have local labor.
Of course.
Because it is not about having large industries that bring labor from outside, and the local ones continue to be workers. So we are looking for them to also join, as I say, get on the train, don't see it passing.
Admiral, the economic impact it is having, what has it been to this day?
Look, just to give an example, the country is growing at 3%, the southeast is growing at 6%, and Oaxaca grew at 13%. This is very, very noticeable.
You told me that the train is already operating every day in terms of logistics. How much is operating through the loads?
We are still moving little cargo. We need to finish from Coatzacoalcos to Palenque, which is where we have important demand, and to Guatemala. However, our goal is to reach around 2 million tons per year in regional cargo and in interoceanic cargo, to start with about 100,000 containers per year.
What are the main sustainability challenges facing the Interoceanic corridor?
Sustainability is water. It is necessary to be very careful with water. We have water. We have an important reserve. However, we need to take care, first, that the water that is used and that re-infiltrates into the subsoil is water from human contact, to avoid contaminating the water tables. Another and important issue is garbage, because when the industries come, where are we going to put the waste? So we are working with the governments of the state of Oaxaca and Veracruz to industrially reuse the garbage to avoid a public health problem. On the topic of sustainability and progress, we have challenges such as attracting investments. We already have the centers put out to tender, and we have many interested companies, but we need them to settle for the investment to begin.
Around these poles, what else is going to develop? Communities, schools, industrial parks.
We have the pole where the green hydrogen system will be in Ixtepec, Oaxaca. The green ammonia pumping plant will be in Salina Cruz. We have a development pole in Mixtequila that we are preparing. That pole is beautiful. It is located where they join the two highways, the one that goes from Oaxaca to Mitla and the one that goes to Salina Cruz. It is a corner of two highways. There we hope that some industry related to petrochemicals and the development of industrial warehouses will settle. We have another property in Chivala in the municipality of Ixtaltepec, Oaxaca. That property is intended for maintenance of wind turbines, and in addition, areas such as aluminum recycling could enter there. Things of that type. We have other areas for agro-industry. 2 development poles in Chiapas that are attached to the agro-industrial port 100%.
How much certainty is there for the investment, for the investors who come?
Absolute certainty. We have a business model that guarantees that businessmen who today win a tender for a concession can be sold the property once they comply with the investment promises to which they committed. Why didn't we sell them directly? Because we don't want speculation. If we give a company a piece of land and it doesn't invest, it can be 10 years old and not do anything. What do we want? That in 2 years they make an investment.
They take it away and don't sell it.
That's right. If a company achieves a significant investment in 2 years so that it is better for them to continue than to leave, we will sell it to them.
What a good scheme.
And now they have certain. And we also managed to find that through the Indabin, the price of the property can be frozen. Why? Because if I later sell them the property with what they already put in, then no one will want it. What we are doing it right now, we are freezing the price, and we are updating it, only with inflation, so they do have certainty.
All the certainty. So as for the rule of law for these investors and for the companies that are coming, what could you tell them to the world? Why come to invest in Mexico?
Firstly, because we must take advantage of the geostrategic condition of the Isthmus. Secondly, nearshoring is the world's opportunity, because there we have the connection between Asia, the United States, and Europe, through a very practical corridor. We gain 20 days to Panama in the transfer.
Wow, it's a lot.
Time is very wide.
Time is money.
Time is resources. Now we have another possibility. We have a unique railway ship in this region, in Coatzacoalcos.
What capacity does it have?
135 rail cars. So we have this other capacity. But we also have tax incentives. The tax incentives guarantee the investor that during the first 6 years they will not pay income taxes. The VAT between companies that are located in a pole or between poles is zero. We are going to establish customs centers as strategic customs enclosures, which allow the transfer of goods only through passage, and which do not have problems crossing. We have water, because even when there are certain areas that have water stress in the isthmus, we guarantee water for developing towns. We have electricity, we have fiber optics. We are asking for a 3-tube fiber optic line of 144 strands of fiber optics.
Who puts it?
We, the Secretary of the Navy, are putting it in, and it runs parallel to the railroad right of way.
And as for the ports, what is being done in the ports?
We are developing the Pajaritos Lagoon in Coatzacoalcos, but first in the port of Coatzacoalcos. In order to develop it, we first need the multi-use terminal that we already tendered in the port of Coatzacoalcos to reach 300,000 TEUs of 20-foot containers. When it reaches a certain balance, we are going to develop a trilogy specialized in Pajaritos Lagoon, which will have the capacity for 1,400,000 containers, so we can capture sufficient cargo for the Interoceanic crossing. We are already building a rail access to that terminal, and a road access, so that it does not have connectivity limitations. In Coatzacoalcos, we cannot grow much. There is a tunnel that crosses from Pajaritos Lagoon to the port of Coatzacoalcos, and we also have a maximum draft of 14 meters, which is enough for ships with deep drafts.
And it can't be made 20 meters, is it not considered?
You can't, because there is a tunnel below. It can't be done anymore. But in Salina Cruz, we have an old commercial port that gives us capacity for 300,000 containers, which are brothers, and we have rail access and road access. We are building a new port, where we built a breakwater 1,600 meters long, 25 meters deep, and 300 meters wide. We poured nearly 7 million tons of rock.
Like breakwaters.
As for breakwaters, that breakwater is ready. The port is already there, and a specialized container terminal will be built there, parallel to that of Salina Cruz, which will allow this twinned interoceanic crossing.
We are in Salina Cruz, setting sail from this dock in what is the new port, because a 1,600 meters breakwater was built.
But in addition to that, in this new port, the ammonia terminal will be established, which will be like a kind of maritime gas station, where large ships will be able to enter to load ecological fuel, because this is one of the deepest ports in the world.
How deep is it?
It is between 24 and 25 meters deep at the entrance, and between 22 and 24 meters deep at the dock. They are the largest, deepest ports in the world, but also the port of Salina Cruz. It has a very large development plan towards Punta Conejo, which is further north, and there it can grow until it is comparable to the port of Manzanillo or the port of Long Beach. It will be a very important port.
How is the security and certainty of all these goods going to be guaranteed in some way?
We have 3 security levels. We are completely shielded. The first security level is the private security that companies have, including the railway, because the railway is a public company, but is a company at the end, and it has its own private security. The second level is enforced by the state and municipal police forces. They are the first force that is ready and aware. Then we have the National Guard and the Navy. Just the Navy has more than 3,000 elements deployed in the area. We established naval stations in strategic areas. We have one in San Juan Evangelista, one in Texistepec, one in Matias Romero, one in Medias Aguas, one in Ixtepec, one in Tehuantepec, and obviously our marine bases in Salina Cruz and Coatzacoalcos.
And in the migrant matter, how will this corridor work?
The migrant issue is a challenge for the world. We have to implement certain measures, given that migrants pass through there, and they want to achieve the American dream. As for the immigration that comes from South America or Central America, we don't have as much of a problem with passenger trains because it is very difficult for them to get on. The problem is on freight trains, which is where they get on the most. What are we going to do? Well, we are going to confine the yards to prevent them from getting on once the train is in transit. As we have already increased the speed, it is very difficult for them to get on, but at the crossings, they can get on there. We are going to automate to maintain speed. On the issue of Mexican migration, both to the interior of the country or to the north, as was common, or to the United States, these people, once we reach the development of the industrial poles and the logistics platform of comprehensively, they will have less need to migrate. If they migrate, they will migrate because it is their desire to do so. But they will not migrate because they cannot have a way of life in their town. Today we bring more than 3,000 permanent workers throughout the territory of the Isthmus. They can't reach us. We are bringing people from other places because they can't reach us.
What are the pending challenges? What is the agenda?
Well, the important short-term agenda is to finish. We have to finish Line K. Because if we don't connect with Guatemala, we will be isolated.
When is finished?
In September of this year, I am convinced that we can be moving cargo and passengers. We are going to lack things because the second stage, which includes expanding slopes, more yards, but I hope that in September we will be ready to connect Guatemala with the Gulf of Mexico and Palenque in June. That is the initial challenge. The second challenge is, what we have to continue doing is to conclude the branch, which goes from Roberto Ayala to Dos Bocas, because we need to give it an outlet and give viability in terms of mobility of petrochemicals to the Dos Bocas refinery. Then, we have a master plan for infrastructure development, which will grow as demand increases, making the slopes longer, perhaps creating a double track, but above all, achieving the coexistence of the logistics platform with the population. Because if I move 20 trains a day, I block the towns, then I would have to make overpasses. It would have to be infrastructure that allows coexistence.
Complementary to this infrastructure.
Complementary to this infrastructure. The port of Salina Cruz has to grow. We are going to reach 1,400,000 containers. But Manzanillo brings more than 5 million, so we have to continue advancing. Although we are not a direct competitor with Panama, we are an important complement. Much of the cargo is no longer going to go to Panama. It is going to come here, so we need to develop greater capabilities, even efficiency capabilities. We have to make the ports efficient, so that the more efficient we are, the more cargo we get.
Ports, airports and roads, all connectivity.
It's what I was missing, the highway network. We already expanded it. We already brought 3 lanes. We made bypass in Sayula de Alemán. We made bypass in Palomares. We made bypass in Matias Romero. We made bypass in Lagunas. It is already faster, but it is not enough. We need to make 4 lanes, as demand demands. The highway that goes to Oaxaca, which leaves in Tehuantepec from Oaxaca to Mitla, is going to be inaugurated this year. It is a great advance. But we lack a highway along the entire coast to reach Acapulco. The Ixtepec airport has already been reactivated with Mexicana de Aviación, but greater airport dynamism is required. We only have 3 airports: Canticas and Minatitlan, Ixtepec, and Huatulco. We have to interconnect them to be able to provide service, since many people are going to arrive. We are going to have another important challenge, the challenge of housing, real estate developments. As soon as the effervescence of the development poles begins, there will be real estate developments. And there is an important challenge, the issue of urban regulation and development, because we cannot be anarchic, and we have to control all that.
Where do you see the most housing growth for developers?
I think everything along the corridor.
Not just in the cities of Oaxaca, Veracruz, Coatzacoalcos.
I believe that Tapachula will continue to grow due to the 2 poles of development that we have there. Coatzacoalcos is already developing and will grow more, but Texistepec will grow. San Juan Evangelista, Matias Romero will grow. Not to mention that in Matias Romero we are going to establish the largest railway center in the country, where all the brains of the railway of the Isthmus of Tehuantepec will be concentrated.
When would this be?
We have to inaugurate it in September. We also already have agreements with Infonavit and many developers are already starting.
Excellent.
I cannot build 1,000 homes right now, but it has to be according to demand.
Growing in stages.
We do studies for everything, demand studies, capacity studies, to see where they go. What type of control are we going to put in place?
Predictability, of course.
Of course, we have demand studies, capacity studies, load studies, passenger studies. That is, we have to do everything like this to avoid errors, to avoid hitting you, move forward safely.
How many years forward have you seen the project in your plans?
Right now, we have it 10 years away, and we are working on the project at 30 years.
Perfect. How is this project promoted internationally?
Well, the main promotion is La Mananera with the president. He is the main promoter.
The fact that the Navy has this project, what does it mean for Mexicans? Is it exercising power and take care of legal certainty?
Well, there are three things that we can say. Why is it important? First, because it is maritime power. Second, because we are a permanent situation of the Mexican state. And that will guarantee Mexicans that we are going to give it continuity. Because it is an issue of national security. That is why we must preserve this space for the state. It cannot be private, because it is an issue of national security.
It is a work of the nation of the Mexicans, but open to the world, for the world and to serve the world.
That's right. We want it to be the center of the world.
We are already the center of the world.
That goods and services go towards the world and arrive towards the Isthmus.
This changes the history of Mexico.
Of course, it's a before and after. Finally, we turn to look at the southeast, the richest region of the country, but the most marginalized region.
Admiral, what does this work mean to you?
First, a great challenge. Second, a great responsibility. And third, a great pride. I am very grateful for the opportunity that the President gave me to have appointed me director of this corridor, to be part of this history. It is something that I have to talk to my grandchildren.
Admiral, truly thank you very much for all the time you gave us and for all the information. And we would like to return and follow the stages of this great corridor with you, to be able to travel through it, and for it to be for all Mexicans and for the entire world. Thank you very much, Admiral. See you. See you soon in one more chapter of real estate. Until next time.